Do you want to create a super cool, eye-catching video to promote your product? You've come to the right place. I'm about to show you a step-by-step process you can use to create a super fun product montage like this. You don't need any fancy equipment to shoot the videos, and the editing is going to be a lot easier than you think. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright, to start, let's get some still shots. So for these, you can just set up your camera or your phone on a tripod or on a flat surface, and you're just going to take shots that are a few seconds long. So go ahead and get a wide shot that has the whole of your product in frame, then a medium shot a little bit closer, and then get a few close-up shots that show the details of your product. Next, we're going to add some motion to your shots, so go ahead and get a zoom-in shot where you start wide and then zoom in, and then pause. You can do that a few times just to make sure you get a take that you like. Then go ahead and get a few panning shots where you're just panning across your product, pan up and down and sideways. Next, you want to get a few shots of your product in action. For example, if your product is makeup, you probably want to get a few shots of somebody putting makeup on their face. Or if your product is home decor, you could get some shots of somebody hanging it on the wall. I'm going to go ahead and get a few shots of opening the bag. Next, get a few slow motion shots, so any action that you think would look cool in slow motion. So here's what those shots are going to look like once we put them in slow motion, and we're going to add the slow motion effect once we get into InVideo. Alright, and the last shot you can get is a pull focus shot. So for this one, what you need to do is have an object in the foreground and an object in the background, and you're going to start off focused on the foreground and then switch to focus on the background. Usually you can autofocus just by tapping the part of the screen that you want to focus on. And this has a very cinematic look to it. Alright, so now that we've got those shots, I'll show you how I edited them into a product montage using a free online video editor called InVideo. Let's go ahead and jump into my laptop so I can show you step by step. Alright, so I've come to the home page of InVideo, and the first thing I'm going to do is just select blank canvas and then make a video. So we're going to start off just with a blank project. Alright, I'm going to the tab on the side that says folders, and this is a great way just to keep your footage organized. I'm going to create a folder specifically for this project, so we'll call it product. And then if I click on that folder, I can go ahead and upload the footage that I want to use for this project. So I'm just going and selecting my clips, and then I'm going to upload them into InVideo. There's already a blank scene added on my timeline, and the first thing I'm going to do is just go ahead and delete the logo and the title that they automatically put on screen. If you want to put your logo for your company in the corner, you can go ahead and do that just by clicking on it and uploading your own logo. For this example, I'm just going to go ahead and delete it. And I'm going to delete the title as well, and then I'm just going to duplicate that scene a few times so that I have a few blank scenes on the timeline. And as you can see, to duplicate, I just hover over the scene and then click on the little plus sign icon. And the first thing I'm going to do is pick out a music track. So I went to the tab on the side that says music, and then I'm going to go ahead and search by mood. I know I want kind of a happy backtrack, so I'm going to click on happy right here, and then I'm going to listen to a few of these to see what I like. I really like this one called This Happy Ukulele, so I'm adding that to my project. I think it's a really good vibe for a product montage. It's kind of fun and uplifting, and it also has some good beats that I can go ahead and cut my shots to. I'll show you how I do that later. And I'm going to go ahead and start with the zoom in shot that I had. So I'm just going to take that and drag it onto the canvas. And then I can trim it to the spot that I want, so I can find one of the times that I zoomed in that I think looks the best, and I'll trim just that section. Okay, so now that's been added to my timeline, and I want to actually make it a little bit longer, so I'm going to click on the video and come up to trim again, and then just pull it out a little bit longer. And then hit done. And then I'm going to go ahead and mute all of my clips because I don't need the sound that I had from the camera. And then I'm going to go up to the crop tool at the top, and I'm going to crop it in a little bit closer. I had a little bit of the wall on the side, and I don't really need that in the shot, so I'm going to go ahead and crop that out. And now I'm just shortening the clip so that it cuts to the beat of the music. Alright, and that's where my next clip is going to start. So next up I have a shot of me opening the bag, and I have this from two different angles. So I'm going to start with this kind of front view of the product. I'm going to trim it to the section where I'm opening the bag. And then I'm going to try to cut it off kind of right in the middle of the action, and that's where I'm going to switch to the next angle. So right about there, I'm going to drag it back. And then I'm just dragging that scene on the timeline back all the way so that there's no blank canvas left on the timeline. I'm going to mute that clip again by coming to the volume button at the top. And then I'm going to go to the next angle of the same action. So for this one, I'm going to try to trim it so I get just the end of the action of me opening the bag. And that looks good to me, so I'm going to hit done. For my next clip, I want to go with one of my slow motion actions. So I'm going to try this one. I'm dragging it on. And then I'm finding the point where I kind of pour out the bag. Right there looks good. And now I'm going to come up to the speed button at the top and pull it back to 0.5, which is going to slow it down, as you can see. I'm going to crop it in a little bit again, closer to the product. So I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to pull it back so that it matches the beat of the music. All right, I'm adding another clip in the same way we've been doing. I'm going to select the clip I want, click it, and drag it onto the canvas. For this one, I'm using the panning across the product shot that we got. Find the section I want, trim it again. I'm going to crop that one in a little closer. Again, I've been doing that with a lot of my shots. All right, what I'm going to do for my next shot is do another panning shot, but panning the other direction. I think it's going to look kind of cool to have those both in a row. Again, I'm trimming it to the point in the music where I want it to stop. And then next I want to put my pull focus shot. So it's going to switch from focusing on the foreground to the background. So I'm finding that exact place where it happens and trimming that. So my shot is pretty slow, so I'm going to go ahead and speed it up a little bit by coming again to the speed button, but this time I'm going to pull it forward. And we'll see if that looks good. I think that looks pretty good, so I'm going to go ahead and drag it to the spot in the music where I want it to cut. And then this next one is going to be my final shot, so I want to get just a nice still shot of the product where you can see it really well, and it kind of just represents the product. So here's one I like. I'm going to trim to the spot that I want. I'm turning the volume off on that clip as well, and then I'm just going to go ahead and delete these two extra scenes that I had on the timeline because I'm not going to need those. All right, so now I have all my clips in place. They basically cut where I want them to. Now I'm going to go in and add some transitions. To add a transition, just click the little box in between every scene that has a red dash through it. That'll pull up the transitions menu. I'm scrolling all the way down to light leaks. I think those transitions are super cinematic. They look really cool. So I'm going to go ahead and add a few of those. But because my clips are all pretty short, I don't want to add a transition in between every single one. They might be just too short to add a transition. So I'm just going to add it between kind of my longer clips here. I think it's going to look really nice. And then the final thing I'm going to do to put finishing touches on this montage is add a few titles on screen. I'm just going to kind of put some buzzwords on screen that describe the product, you know, healthy, crunchy, delicious. So I'll find the spot where I want to add those titles, and then I'm going to come over to this text tab on the side. There are a lot of really cool pre-made text styles, so I'm going to pick out one of those. So the one that I picked out, I like the way it kind of jumps onto the screen, but I do want to change the font because I think this font isn't really easy to see on screen. So I'm going to go ahead and type in the word that I want first. And then at the top here, I'm just going to hit font. I'm going to scroll through all of these fonts until I find one that I like. And they have a lot of options on here, so you're bound to find one that you like. I think I want to make this all caps, so I'm going to just go ahead and change that. I'm going to add a shadow just to make it stand out on the screen a little bit more, so I'm just going to click text shadow at the top and then turn it on. And then I want the other text boxes to be the same font and the same animation, so I'm just going to copy this and then paste it onto the other scenes where I want there to be a title. So I'm just using Command-C and then Command-V to copy and paste onto a new scene. And then I'll just change the words for each one. And then the last thing I'm going to do is just try moving the titles around on screen a little bit. So we'll try putting this one more in the corner. And then I'll try moving this one around too. So I like it right there. Alright, and that's really all you have to do. So I'm just going to go to the top right hand corner and hit download and share, and then hit export. It's going to load a final preview for you so you can watch it before you download it. And then if you like it, you can just go ahead and hit download. So that is the step-by-step process how I made that fun little cinematic montage. If you want to make a really similar one, you can follow the steps I showed you in this video, and you can even use the same template that I used just by clicking on the link in the description. If you found this video helpful, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to this channel, and you can go ahead and click here to watch a video about creating reels for your products. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Teresa with InVideo, and I
Đăng ký dùng thử miễn phí phần mềm tạo video tại trang web InVideo.design.